Well, guys, we are ending the 4th week of the Karen Reid trial, and things are heating up. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel for another true crime video. If you are new here, welcome, and thank you so much for clicking on this video today. If you do enjoy this type of content, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you do not miss a video. We began Tuesday with the cross-examination of Jennifer McCabe. Alan Jackson really hammered her on her close personal relationships with the lead investigators in this case, including an off-the-record meeting that she and the Alberts had with Sergeant Lank just one day after John O'Keefe's death. They pointed out text messages from Jen McCabe while Carrie Roberts was being interviewed by Michael Proctor in Jen's home. This occurred on January the 29th, and the text message that was sent was to a group that included the Alberts that said she's telling them everything. Nicole Albert then replied, "We'll find out more tomorrow, let's not text about it." The next day was that off-the-record meeting with Sergeant Lank that lasted 45 minutes. The defense also pointed to 6 missed calls that were found on John O'Keefe's phone from Jen McCabe on January the 29th between 12:40 and 12:50 a.m. These were all back-to-back phone calls which were deleted from Jen McCabe's phone but not from her phone records. They believed that John had lost his phone in the struggle and that they were attempting to locate it in the home. Jennifer McCabe claimed that they must have all been butt dials because she had her phone in her back pocket, but when she was asked why no voicemails were left on John's phone, her response was, "Well, maybe I was texting and realized," big inconsistency in my opinion. However, there was one voicemail found on John O'Keefe's phone from Karen Reid the morning that they found him on the Alberts' lawn. She had been excessively calling John's phone in an attempt to locate him and dropped her phone in Jen's car as she saw him laying on the lawn. This captured a muffled phone call between Jennifer McCabe and Nicole Albert that was also deleted from Jen's phone. Now, there are many people who have amplified this and believe her to be saying, "Are you coming down to help?" However, it did also capture the tail end of a 911 call, so it's possibly that she said something to that effect to the dispatcher. There were actually 2 deleted phone calls from Jen to Nicole Albert found on her phone records, but they had been deleted from Jennifer's phone. She claims that they were unanswered, however, the phone records indicated that they were answered. However, the defense did play an audio recording of Jennifer to 911 where she can clearly be heard saying that he got out of the car.
I don't know, he got out of the car.
Was that you?
Yes, it was.
That 911 call?
Yes, it was.
And what did you just say?
I said, I don't know, he got out of the car.
He got out of the car, is what you said, correct?
Yes.
He, meaning John O'Keefe. I mean, how would you know that if you say you never saw him? And if you did see him get out of the car, I'm sure you would have saw Karen hit him and drive off. And the moment we have all been waiting for, the infamous 2:27 a.m. Google search made by Jennifer McCabe. There has been numerous rumors since the beginning of this case that Jennifer McCabe had Google searched how long to die in the cold at 2:27 a.m. What she had actually searched was how long to die in the cold, however, it's clear that that had just been a typo. This Google search would have occurred several hours before John O'Keefe's body was found, so that is highly suspicious if that were the case. Now, we've heard the Google search occurred at 2:27 a.m., and we've also heard that that's just when she opened the Safari tab, and that she actually searched it in the morning after they found John because Karen had asked her to. So I was expecting there to be one Google search and just the time to be up for debate. However, there were 3 Google searches made, and the first one occurred at 2:27 a.m., with the 2 others occurring at 6:23 and 6:24 a.m. Now, the 6:24 a.m. search matched the exact same spelling and typo as the 2:27 a.m. search. The defense pointed out that all of the searches would have generated the same result, so there would have been no other reason to duplicate that second search if she was just truly looking for an answer for Karen. But it is believed that she was just trying to cover her tracks because she knew she had that incriminating phone search on her phone, and she tried to duplicate the exact same spelling error. They also pointed out that the 2:27 a.m. search was the only search that had been deleted from Jen McCabe's phone. Now that is highly suspicious, you guys, and it's weird to me that she admits to everything else on the data records being 100% accurate, except that 2:27 a.m. deleted Google search as well as all the deleted phone calls. Jennifer also testified to seeing John and Karen pull in the driveway, and a friend of Brian Albert's son testified to seeing Karen around the same time. However, Karen was alone in the car. So if he wasn't inside the car and he wasn't laying there deceased, then the only other place he could have been is inside the house. It's also extremely weird to me that all of these people drove by and didn't see a dead body, Now, we ended the week with Brian Higgins on the stand, and he is expected to return Tuesday to complete cross-examination. Karen Reed and Brian Higgins had a brief fling when her relationship was a little bit rocky with John, but that didn't last very long. The text messages between the two were pulled up, and it appears the prosecution was trying to paint Karen Reed as a bad person. Was she being a little shady? Absolutely, but that doesn't mean that she killed John. Remember, Brian Higgins was in the home when it was believed that John O'Keefe was on the front lawn dying. He had even texted John to see if he was coming, but he at first claimed that he didn't know John and Karen were going to be at 34 Fairview. So then why would you have texted him to make sure he was coming? The defense confronted Brian Higgins with evidence that he had gone to Canton Police Department at 1 a.m. on January the 29th. He claims that he had gone there to move company vehicles due to the upcoming storm. However, Alan Jackson pointed out that he was supposed to do that several hours earlier. He also pointed out that Brian Higgins and Brian Albert had both destroyed their phones just one day before receiving a court subpoena not to. Again, they're both cops, so it's clearly obvious they were probably tipped off. Remember, Higgins and Albert had disappeared for a short period of time to look at photos. But for some reason, Brian Albert testified to Brian Higgins never being in his basement, and Brian Higgins contradicted that testimony by admitting that he had been there at least once. And the defense says that they have evidence to prove that John O'Keefe was moving around after Karen had allegedly hit him and left him to die, and even gone up and down flights of stairs. Not sure why the basement's such a big deal right now, but you know what? We are going to find that out later, I'm sure. Higgins also allegedly pulled the SIM card out of his phone and destroyed it before disposing of his cell phone. He allegedly did this on a military base and disposed of the SIM card and the cell phone in 2 separate locations. I seriously hope the defense has some sort of video evidence of this, because that's wild if that's true. Nobody does that. That's crazy. But the defense team was able to confirm a phone call between Brian Albert and Brian Higgins at 2:22 a.m. on January the 29th that lasted 22 seconds. Phone records confirm this call to have been answered, but for some reason, Brian Higgins and Brian Albert continued to deny it. This phone call would have occurred just 5 minutes before Jennifer McCabe allegedly searched how long for a body to die in the cold. I say allegedly because, for legal reasons, but I mean, again, the phone records do not lie. There are just way too many coincidences here for me, and as a juror, those would be very hard for me to overcome, especially considering that I don't believe in coincidences. Also, innocent people do not destroy their phones. Both Brian Higgins and Jennifer McCabe constantly requested to review their prior testimonies before answering most questions. They also appeared to be extremely incapable of giving yes or no answers. To me, it's weird that if you've been telling the truth this whole time, why you'd have to review your testimony, especially since they never asked that with the prosecutors. It is also known that Brian Higgins and another detective had possession of Karen's car far before the taillights were ever found at the scene. So, again, I went into this thinking that Karen Reed was 1,000,000% guilty. I'm not gonna lie, especially after the I hit him. But when you start to watch everything, and if you're really watching the trial and listening and following the evidence, it was more of a did I hit him question, which again would be highly suspicious. As I said in my first video of the trial, I believe that that's highly suspicious either way. But knowing just how shady Jen was, I feel like maybe she was trying to brainwash Karen into thinking she might have hit John. It's a far stretch, but again, if you're paying attention to all the evidence, this is just way, way too suspicious. But as always, I want to hear all of your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. I'm extremely pumped to hear the defense's case and see what kind of evidence they have that they so strongly believe that this is truly a cover-up. I always love to hear everything you guys have to say, and thank you guys so much for clicking on this video today. Do you guys think that this is a cover-up, or do you guys think that she is guilty? Have your guys' mind changed since before the trial compared to now, or are you guys just staying neutral? And with that being said, take care of yourselves, and we'll see you guys in my next video.